And thank you for joining us here on PM Express tonight. A few months back, we started a journey that led eventually to total reorganization of the governing New Patriotic Party with the election of new national leaders, General Secretary, National Chairman, a complete, shifting and changing of the guards at the NPP. Well, the NDC, the main opposition political party, have also begun their own journey that will end later this year with the election of new national executives. And so, beginning today on the PM Express, we'll be bringing you many of such interviews with many of the individuals seeking to lead the National Democratic Congress into the 2024 national elections. And there's going to be a shuffling of the pack. One of the voices emerging very strongly, attempting to become the NDC's next General Secretary, is the man you have in the shot behind me. He is Elvis Efiri-Ankrah. He's a man who's been there, who's done that. He's a man who used to be the Youth and Sports Minister, the Deputy Local Government Minister, has held the Deputy General Secretary position in the party. And it comes to this context with some gravitas, knowing what he's done both at the youth level of the party, a youth activist, youth leader, and all that. But then he's going into a position where Johnson Asaden Ketia currently holds, but their speculation is rife that Asaden Ketia himself is vacating this particular position of General Secretary and moving up to become the national chairman. Just before I came on, I listened to an interview he granted. I'm not talking about Asaden Ketia himself, where he almost confirmed that he wants to be the national chairman. If he wants to be the national chairman, then of course he leaves this position vacant. And many will say he possibly poses the biggest threat to Elvis Efiri-Ankrah if he was there. So does this suggest that the path is clear for Elvis Efiri-Ankrah to simply take this position and become the new General Secretary of the party? We don't know. But we'll be talking to him today, asking him a lot of questions about why he wants to lead the NDC as his General Secretary. But for a party that scored significant defeats in 2016, did a significant repair in 2020, nearly won parliament, created a hung parliament for the very first time, clawed back 500,000 votes, and he was the director of elections, he possibly will tell you the wind is in his sail as he travels across the country, telling the party's delegates that, well, listen, because of myself as the director of elections, momentum is strongly in my sail, and you just need to give me the nod to finish the job I started in 2020. If I was part of his communications team, that definitely will be my sales pitch as I go around the country. Is that what he's going to tell them? But it's everything that rosy. We'll be digging into his past. He knows that. And so we'll be talking to him. You see him in the studio. That's Elvis Efiri-Ankrah. He's my guest here on PM Express. After the break, we'll have a conversation about the man, the position he's seeking, and why he wants it so badly. And can he really deliver that victory to the NDC? As if he wins, he'll become the chief executive officer of the party. Day to day will be his task. He's my guest. There's never a dull moment when you talk to him on any day. So stay with me after the break. Hear the man for himself. So Elvis Efiri-Ankrah is my guest, as I introduced earlier, a man of many parts indeed. Sports, local government, youth leadership, party positions held. The last time we checked, he was a director of elections going into 2020. And as I said, we'll come to that. We'll come to 2020, because I know he'll possibly hoist that as he goes around to campaign. Thank you very much, Mr. Elvis Efiri-Ankrah, for your time here on PM Express.
Thank you very much, Evans. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Long time no see. Why do you want to be General Secretary of the NDC?
I want to be General Secretary of the NDC because I believe that over time I've garnered a lot of experience. I understand the party. I have a passion for the party. And I've been at the forefront of many developments in the party. And where we are now as a country, and after 17 years of the Venerable Asaden Ketia, I think that I'm in pole position to take over that position and move the party to the next level. Our party has evolved over time. We have the Rawlings people, Everybody knows that I'm a great fan of Rawlings, even though the latter part of his years I didn't agree with him because I thought he was too cozy with President Akufo-Addo, but that's a different story. So the Rawlings so-called people, I'm close to them. I was like a son to President Mills. We worked very, very closely together when he came back in 2001 for the primaries. I was the deputy campaign coordinator, took him around the whole country. So I know key people that he worked with. A lot of them, some of them, not all of them, have sat back. As for JM, it's my brother, my friend, very, very close. We've worked very closely together. Even I announced him as running mate, even though at that time my mentor Rawlings was not happy about that. In fact, we didn't speak for about 3 years.
After that?
Yes.
Just because you announced it?
You know, the circumstances, he thought that we dribbled him. Did we dribbled him?
This must have been 2008?
Yes.
2008.
You know, Karma Conference.
Karma Conference Center.
Yes.
That was when Betty Mo wasn't appeared to be in the lead.
Exactly. And, you know, we had to do certain things, you know. And then you have the CADA core. There are people that I relate to very, very well. A lot of them are aging, but they are very experienced and knowledgeable. They understand the party. If you go to a lot of our rural areas, they are really, really very solid. But with the evolution of time, you know that most of our conversations are on WhatsApp. Most of them are not really active on WhatsApp, so they seem to be cut off. When you talk to them, they seem to think that, you know, the party, it's as if the party is leaving them. These are people that I connect very well with. And then you have the Generation Z, the young people. And because I was a lecturer in the university, I have 4 children. 3 of them have completed university. So I understand them. You know, I do motivational speaking as well. I speak to students at the tertiary level. So I have all these demographics that I relate very well to. I have a corporate background. And if you want to be General Secretary, Chief Executive of the party, you must understand the corporate world. You recall that I was one of the first ministers that organized a breakfast meeting for the 40 top CEOs in Ghana at the Flagstaff House. So I have all these experiences and relations, academia, because of my background as a lecturer, head of communications studies and English at UPSA. So
very similar to JM's in terms of that.
Okay, so looking at it, and you know, every party has a pulse. Okay, it's intangible, but there's a pulse in every party. And I think that I understand the pulse of the party and where we are today, going into critical 2024 elections, that you need to bring everybody on board, bring back the spirit of the party. We're going into an election for the first time without the Rawlings, without people like Captain Chikata. These are great brains who do a lot behind the scenes people don't know. And I was privileged to have worked very intimately with somebody like Captain Chikata and many others that I cannot name. So I think that coupled with my experiences, I started as SRC president of the University of Ghana from 1994 to 1996. We were there for 2 years because of the lecturer strike. Then I became NUC's coordinating secretary. And then afterwards, I worked in the corporate world. I was with Mechanical Lloyd as a sales executive. Then in 2000, I became the parliamentary candidate for Ayawaso West Wogon. And then after that, I became the deputy campaign manager for the Professor Mills primaries, which we won. And then 2004, the actual campaign, I was the deputy campaign manager for the actual campaign. Professor Alabi was the campaign manager. Then in 2005, I contested for and won massively at the Kofodia Congress. So Honorable Johnson Asiru Nketia, Baba Jamal were all elected at that Congress.
That's why you became Deputy General Secretary.
General Secretary, and I was in charge of operations. So for the 2008 elections, where we had to do 3 rounds, I was in charge of operations, worked together with all the stakeholders, all the senior people, the young people, mobilizing people. And then I became the Deputy Minister for Local Government. In local government, I still had the opportunity to engage with the party.
Mills or Muhammad is?
Mills. that is working with MMDCs and traveling extensively around the country. And unfortunately, President Mills passed away. Before he passed, he had told his inner circle of advisors that I was going to be his campaign coordinator for the 2012 elections. And he passed.
That in July.
After the funeral, we were done in around September. We had just a few months for campaign, and President Mahama confirmed me as a campaign coordinator. And together, again, with the rest of the team, moved around this country. It was a blistering campaign across the country. That was when I had to put all my academic goals aside and become a cheerleader, just so that we could motivate people and ginger the party. And we won that election. And then I became a Minister of Sports, and then subsequently moved to the Flagstaff House, where I also had an intimate knowledge of how the inner workings of the government from the presidency. And so 2018, I was actually in Jimpa Law School, and then I was called upon to become the Director of Elections. After a while, I realized I couldn't.
For the 2020 election?
Yes.
For the 2016?
No, 2016, I was
did you play any particular
role?
role?
I didn't play any,
Okay.
I didn't have any role, But 2020, 2018, I was appointed, and took off. There were serious challenges. The elections director, you have to train about 150,000 people. And there were some challenges, delays here and there, but eventually, within a period of less than 2 months before the elections, we were able to deploy people. We trained the trainers and deployed them to train all our agents. And we're also responsible for supervising the printing of electoral materials. And we train our people very well. You recall what happened at InnoLink, where we discovered almost 1 million ballot papers for Ashanti region. And your station covered it extensively. And we had to get those papers destroyed, keeping the Electoral Commission on its toes, being vigilant, and all that. And in 2020, from where I sit, I believe we won 142 seats. 5 of them are in courts now, and it was through, violence. You saw what happened in Techiman, Takwan Swayim, Sefiri also, and all those other places because of the violence that was deployed. And then again, the MPP outspent us by a ratio of maybe about 1 to 1,000, because we know the money we made available to our parliamentary candidates, for example, is not up to 100,000.
100,000 cedi for the campaign?
Yes, it's not up to.
Okay, so that's what the party made available.
Yeah, that's it's not. If it's not even up to, it's not even up to 50,000. But you had an MPP vice chairperson saying that she was given 1 million. Okay, just her alone. That's from one stream.
That's allegation around the COVID funds
Yes.
that was made.
It's not an allegation.
Well, it remains so until it's proven.
Well, what proof again do you need when the person herself, the vice chairperson, has said, this is what I got?
People bluff sometimes.
Oh no, this is no bluff. And we know. I mean, within the politics, maybe you media versus people, you don't know, but we know. And I mean, we saw them the way they were spending. So they outspent us absolutely. There's so much cash. And that's why we're in this crime. They spend money, they open the vaults. You'll be surprised to know that in some of the northern savannah regions, on the eve of elections, bullion vans actually came to park and money was being...
Every elections, incumbents do that.
Okay.
It's in our history.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that with all that spending, if we were to go by the official declaration of the EC, we have 137. Don't forget that when we were in government, we had 106 seats. We lost by 44.3%, okay? And we recovered, And when I say this very carefully so that nobody will think we are happy that we lost, because somebody will say, oh, but you lost. So we did not go in to lose, okay? Mm-hmm. But when you're doing analysis, the statistics, they speak, okay? The statistics show that from a deficit of 106 seats, we now have 137. And if you look at the numbers, we had a deficit of 1 million votes, which we clawed back. Yeah. So President Mahama's votes went up by 6.2 million. So there were contentions over the presidential votes, which we went to court and all that. That's another story. So I believe we've built a certain momentum.
You take credit for that?
No, I don't take credit personally. for it because it's teamwork. And you see, I keep saying together with the rest of the team, together with the rest of the team. So it's teamwork. I always believe in working with the team.
So the success is yours?
Of course.
So which is what you're selling to the delegates?
It's part of it. It's part of my story. The experience, the track record, what happened, and importantly, what lessons have we learned from all those events? What can we do better? Because in life, you must learn lessons from every event and every incident. So there are some of it which are internal, which when I meet or we've met with party delegates, we've done a review of the elections in all the 16 regions. We've met all the constituency executives, and we've laid out what exactly went wrong, and they also give us a report. So we know exactly what we have to do to cross the 50% plus mark and also gain more seats in parliament.
So it was right when I say your unique selling proposition will say you have the momentum, which you say you're part of the group that delivered it.
You should be my consultant.
and so, yeah, give me the no, let me be there, let me deliver. Let me finish what I started.
Yes.
That's what you're going to be saying.
Yes, it's part of it.
It's part of the message. That you're saying that then you're absolutely confident that you can finish the job.
Oh, absolutely.
What makes you that certain?
It makes us that certain because if you look at the circumstances, first of all, this is MPP doing their first term. Usually, there are some Ghanaians who just feel that whether the government has performed or not, let's give them a second term. That swing is there, you know. And I talked about the money, and then I also talked about the violence and the manipulation. If you put all those things together, you realize that all things being equal, we could have crossed the 50% plus one mark. And therefore, with that performance and the lessons learned, when we go into the next elections and we are more vigilant, we are more careful, we keep our eyes on the ball to the very last minute, and with our message, and people are very, very disappointed in the MPP. But that alone is not enough. We must now work extra hard, triple times harder to ensure that the disappointment that people have will manifest at the polling stations.
We'll come to the strategy, but one of the elements that you haven't mentioned, maybe it has escaped you, is the face on the ballot with John Dramani Mahama. And all things being equal from everything I've heard, he possibly will end up being the flag bearer. Disagree?
Oh, most likely, but because I'm going to be the referee, so let's say for now, but I mean, he has the momentum on his side, you know, and when he becomes flag bearer, the win is already in his sail, and so we'll be able to take it from there.
We'll come to that, but that is a fundamental pivot around which your success or failure will be determined, right? The element of him that we haven't seen before in our First Republican Constitution is a president who, remember, has done first term and lost, and didn't win the next two elections, but wants to come back. We haven't seen that dynamic before, and so there's no history to reference in that element. That is a great unknown for you, is it not? And how are you factoring that in this race of yours that you want to stand and win and you want to refer to 2016, but this is an entirely different race in 2024 with a man who may be on the ticket.
But you see, it even makes it easier because if it's going to be him, then of course all we have to do is to just look at what he did over the 4 years. And believe me, it's amazing. I mean, I said something the last time somebody didn't understand me, but when I go back and I look at the achievements over the 4 years, okay, sector by sector, education sector, health sector, transport infrastructure, look at the hospitals that were built within that short period. I was part of cabinet, 10% of our salaries were deducted. We built almost 3,000 chip compounds.
30% now, salaries cut by the government will say.
And what is the money being used for? They said they've cut, but there's no evidence. In our case, 10%, there's something tangible to show for it.
What is what?
That is the chip compounds. We built almost 3,000 chip compounds, okay? Look at the medical infrastructure. University of Ghana Hospital, you look at the Maritime Hospital, you look at the hospitals that were being built in Sewa, Ashanti region to have a replica of 37 military hospital. You look at the medical equipment that were changed in all the major hospitals, the polyclinics that were built. I mean, massive, within 4 years.
But this is a record that has been rejected twice by the Ghanaian people.
Pause. Okay? So the achievements are enormous, and that's why I'm urging our party people, we must take our time and look at those achievements. They are so humongous. I mean, when I read, I said, we did all this in 4 years. So what happened? What happened was that we had an Anado who had tried twice. This was his third time. So he also had that momentum. Even though the circumstances are not exactly the same, there is something about somebody going for an election the third time. There's a certain momentum.
As Mills showed us.
Exactly. So there's a certain momentum that the person has. If you look at the numbers kept on appreciating. In the same way, even though yes, we won the first one, we lost, but the numbers have gone up. And so Nanado and the MPP and Bawumia came up with very sweet promises. They've never been tested. People did not know what they could do. So, okay, let's give them a chance. And he said, try me, try me, try me. So people gave them that opportunity. And they came, and we can see today what is going on.
Yeah,
it's
but
a complete.
It was just less than 2 years ago that the voters reaffirmed their faith.
Okay, but that reaffirmation, first of all,
and the rejection of.
Hold on. So you look at somebody who you claim was rejected. Okay, so we lost 2016. In 2020, his numbers went up. True. Parliamentary. I'm saying we won 142, but they took 5 from us by force. Okay,
now we are proving it in court. So until that is
yes, but I have to state what I know. What I know. Okay, so and then you see the numbers also going up. The 1 million deficit reduced drastically. So that momentum is there. Okay, and then they've tasted Nanado. They've seen him. They've seen his performance. Look at the CD. When we left office, the CD was 4.2. Today, the CD is what? 10 point what? They've broken the 10. It's no longer breaking the 8, it's breaking the 10. Okay? If you look at every single sector of this economy, all the indicators, both local and foreign. Those days when we say, they said NDC. Okay? Corruption, no, it's NDC people who are saying it. Now, PCI shows us, or the CPI, Corruption Perception Index, shows us that we are in the worst ever form than ever before. You look at the economy, Fitch is not NDC, S&P is not NDC. Okay, all those rating agencies are not NDC. And the numbers are showing, and it's showing in the lives of people. It's showing in the pockets of people. Life is hard. Things are difficult. The country is on autopilot. Saturday, I don't know if you monitored news file, but Saturday's news file is symptomatic of the state of our country. Okay? You have a government that came and said, President said, I'm going to put my life, my presidency on the line in the fight against Galamsey. What do we see today? It's as if there's no government. You have MMDC's houses being dug for Galamsey. The total breakdown.
I had denied that, by the way.
The Ghana Water Company, MD, said something. He said in the past, when they process the water, first of all, the quantum of chemicals that they use has almost doubled. And then when they process the water, the losses were about 20%. Today, the losses are about 50%. So when they process, first of all, they use more chemicals. And then now, when they process, they lose about 50%. And more importantly, the water is so muddy that it's affecting the equipment. So if you're not careful, very soon, all the pumping equipment are going to break down. That is the state in which we are. We heard the communications officer of COCOBOD saying that because of the cyanide in the ground, if we are not careful, they're going to ban cocoa.
Yeah, this happened on this network. Your point is?
My point is that Nanado and the MPP have been a total and complete disappointment.
Yeah, there's one thing saying that, and there's one thing translating that into votes.
Yes. So I've showed you that even with all the money that they pumped in, COVID money, they were spending money like there was no tomorrow. Okay. You look at the performance, and they had to take violence. They killed 8 people.
And when they say 8 people died.
How did they die?
As a result of election-related violence.
Under whose watch?
Well, of course, under the government
exactly.
of the day.
Ayawaso West Wagon happened. There was a commission of inquiry. There were recommendations. A president who is a human rights lawyer, who is committed to a peaceful democracy, should have taken action. But by not taking action, it was an endorsement of what happened. And that is why the people were emboldened to do what they did, okay, in 2020. So 8 people were murdered before Nanado claimed to have won power. That's a fact. I'm not making it up. 8 human beings never happened before. in this democracy. Never. 8 innocent souls were murdered.
Yeah, so how does that translate into your confidence that if you win together with JM, you can deliver?
So that's why I said we're going to show people, okay, that looking at all that we had, okay, in the 4 years that we were in power, okay, the loans that we took by the time we left office, the loans cumulatively were about 127 billion. And we had things to show. We can show you in every sector: education, health, infrastructure, name it.
I mean, I made this point before. You showed them in 2016, they rejected it. You showed them in 2020, they rejected it.
And that's the point I'm making, that at that time, they had not tested Ronaldo. He said, try me. He had never been tested.
So you're saying that your success or failure in 2024 hinges on Akufo-Addo's performance?
Not only that, but it's a critical factor. Major factor. Otherwise, we wouldn't have elections and campaigns. Okay, if you have a government or a party that comes and promises all these things, and at the end of the day, all the indicators and practical, our lives, everything shows that they failed abysmally. Definitely, they wouldn't have any.
Let me take you back to something you said when I introduced the subject of the element of John Mahama, and he's almost a presumptive nominee when it comes to the flag bearer. You concur that it's most likely. Dr. Kamnodufo would disagree with you vehemently, that you even suggest that almost
I didn't
likely.
suggest.
You said almost likely.
I didn't suggest. You said, and I said
that it's almost
that because
likely.
I'll be a referee, let's leave that.
Yeah, but it's almost
when the time comes.
Yeah. It's not a momentum is on the side.
Of course. I mean,
and he would disagree with you that the momentum is on the side.
Great. So there will be a contest. I'm going to be the referee. So let's allow that contest. Yeah. At the end of the day, whoever becomes our flag bearer, I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that Ghanaians would prefer an NDC presidential candidate to any MPP presidential candidate. Yeah. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, but I want to read you something that has happened recently. This goes to a reorganization of your party, and talking about the Kamnodufo theme. He launched a whole
project. Here to talk about?
No, reorganization. Reorganization.
We are here to talk about seeking to.
This is tied to lead. Yes.
Yes.
When I finish, you will see the point.
Okay.
He launched the Ahota project, and he said it was part of his helping the reorganization agenda. And I remember when he launched it in Ashaiman, he made the point that he went around the country talking to something that you touched on, polling agents, party grassroots, who he felt had been neglected. In fact, he said that even polling they are not paid, and he was surprised that they are not paid and they're sacrificing for the party.
Pause. I was director of elections in 2020. Mm-hmm. Every single polling agent was paid.
For the elections?
Yes.
Or you pay them monthly?
No, we don't pay polling agents.
Well, that was his point.
No, hold on. This is my terrain.
Yeah, I know.
We don't recruit polling agents in perpetuity. It doesn't work that way. Anybody who says that doesn't understand how the party works. Polling agents are recruited prior to the elections. They are trained and deployed on election day.
I mean, I'm using polling agents as in the way MPP will use it. But I'm talking about, you have a term for it. I think you call it a branch executive.
Okay, branch executive.
That's equivalent of what MPP will call polling agents. That's what I mean. That's what he meant then. That he went in the country and those people struggle for you and unpaid. In fact, he said he spoke to some of them who says they can't even afford to take their children when they're sick to the hospital. And he says that is what needs to be fixed. You agree with him?
You see, in every situation.
This is the base of the party that you said.
Hold on.
You are better.
But no party. The party is made up of volunteers. Okay? We're all volunteers. Nobody pays us. Okay?
You're not paid?
No. Who
when you were the deputy general secretary?
No. Nobody pays you.
But the general secretary is paid.
I know. I was a lecturer. I was a full-time lecturer at UPSA. Okay, when I was deputy general secretary, I was a full-time lecturer.
Nobody party gets paid. Executive at the national level.
Nobody gets paid. It's voluntary. Where in the constitution do it? So, like I said, I did not Evans. No, you did not bring me here to come and discuss candidates and all that.
Let me tell you why it's a links. When you started, you said your strong suit is your base, the grassroots that you appeal to. I'm just referencing somebody who says that base you're appealing to is a broken base.
No,
because he wants to fix it.
Hold on. Again, context is very important.
Yeah.
It is that same base that worked very hard for us to get the 142 seats, out of which 5 were stolen by murder. Okay, that same base. And this is how the party has been run on a voluntary basis. If you want to introduce innovation, okay, how do we fund our party? That's a conversation that has been going on continuously. And you know I'm an advocate for us looking at how we fund political parties, something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
But you cannot come to a general conclusion and say branch executives are not paid. When you're campaigning for position, you don't advocate that you should be paid. It's voluntary. It's just like any other voluntary organization. You are not paid. So I have difficulty in this kind of that, the branch executives are not paid. Therefore, of course, there are difficulties, there are challenges.
That for somebody seeking to be the general secretary, you need to change something at that base. Or you think the base is solid enough as it is and doesn't need any reorganization?
That's not what I've said.
Okay, so that's what I'm driving at.
Yes.
So,
but the premise
is it broken?
The premise is that, first of all, you see, if you
remember that I'm not NDC, right?
Yes.
So I'm quoting from somebody.
That's why
who is NDC through and through.
Maybe he's
who has gone public and he hasn't been.
Maybe he's been misquoted because
that's
anybody.
That's what the Ahotop project is for.
No.
It's to help in the. I can read to you.
Evans, hold on.
What did before say? My aim. This is very important.
No.
I mean, just before important. Just quote. Our aim was quite simple. How do you strengthen the foundation to have a strong base? I'm quoting him. We had no other objective but to have a strong structure. Governance is a serious assignment. We had no other objective but to strengthen our party. That was your objective, the base. But for him, the structure at the base was not strong enough. And so he needed a Ahotop project to finance and strengthen the base. That tells me, and I'm quoting for him, that for you to, if it's true, if you agree, then for a general secretary, you possibly need to be concerned about this. And I was going to drive at, so what is your strategy to deal with that problem? But I need to ask you, do you agree that that is a problem?
As a party?
As a base, as is the base broken, as you suggest?
First of all, you have modified your statement. Your premise, which I disagree with you, is that the party executives at the branches are not paid.
He said that.
Okay?
He said that.
It's not correct. Anybody who says that...
But they are not paid, but you said that it's...
Hold on. I have good reason to believe, and been in this business for a very long time. I'll be very surprised if he actually said that.
He said that. In fact, his point was that he wants to give them money. They can raise funds, pay
There's
themselves.
There's a world of a difference between saying you want to help finance the party through various activities and saying party branch executives are not paid. So what about those who go and vote? Should they be paid? So you see, it's a very, 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 very simplistic posturing to take that, we don't pay the branches. We don't pay them. But of course, they do a lot of activities that require funding. And at any given time, that's why when it comes to elections, people make donations to sell paraphernalia and all those things. And indeed, when he brought this project, we welcomed it, that it was good. The only issue is that is the modalities, there's been misunderstanding about how it's to be implemented. So I don't think this should be the main focus of our discussion.
So I'm coming to that fundamental question. Is the party's base, which you're going to be, is going to drive your campaign, is it broken or not that needs fixing?
I can't say it's broken.
Okay. What is the problem there? Is there a problem there?
Every party is in the process of revolution. Okay. As long as you have not achieved your objective, you need to continue to build and strengthen it. Okay? So to that extent, but to say it's broken, I disagree. Okay. There are challenges and there are
What are the challenges?
Well, the challenges are that, logistics, especially when you're in opposition, is a challenge, okay? And organization becomes a challenge. But those are challenges that you deal with over time.
So how is Elvis Ifriankra, the aspirant, going to fix? You've identified two things: logistical challenge at the base, and I think you also mentioned financing. How are you going to fix that?
Let me ask you a rhetorical question. How have we been fixing it to win elections in the past? When I became Professor Mills' campaign coordinator, deputy campaign coordinator, even for the primaries, we had two vehicles, two. When we traveled around the country, we were sleeping in people's homes, okay? As the campaign went along and gathered momentum, and people saw the credibility and integrity of Professor Mills, and his message resonated, people were coming in to support. And that is how we ran the campaign, okay? So that is how, and we've also introduced an electronic mode of payment. of collection of dues. That is one of the ways.
But that's already there.
No, it wasn't there in the way that it is today. Okay?
But I mean, as we speak tonight, that structure is already there.
Yes, it's there.
But I'm talking about what do you remember
So
that
you
this is
build on it.
This is your pitch to the
Yes,
delegates.
yes.
Who are the base.
Okay.
And you've said logistics is a problem today.
Yes.
I'm asking you, how are you going to fix it?
So I'm telling you that something has been started, okay? Electronic payment of dues. You're going to look at that system and improve upon it, okay? Have more people. If you have 1 million people paying 1 cedi every month, that is a lot of money.
Who are you taking that money from?
The party, of course, the supporters. How do our party supporters all over the world? You take it from the party people, okay? So if you have 1 million people and they pay 1 cedi each, that's some money, which you then distribute pro rata, national, regional, constituency, and branch. And as you keep on, the numbers will go up. And then, of course, you have people in various categories, people who are gold card holders, people who are silver card holders, people who are... Of course, it's not for me to disclose the strategy with which we use to raise funds.
But they will be asking that question.
Of course, when they ask me, I'll talk to them, not on Joy. Is this place a delegates conference?
Well, my submission to you is, how many delegates do you have will be voting?
Hold on. See, I'll be going around to every constituency. Yeah. There are things that are not meant for the public consumption. They are internal party.
But you're fixing structure. Now you said logistical structure problem at the base of your party.
Yes. So when I go to the delegates, those issues which they have a better understanding of, because their premise will not be that they've not been paid, as you have said, and therefore we cannot have a meaningful conversation because the premise of what you're saying is completely false.
When you say logistics,
no, please.
When you say logistics,
Evans,
what do you define as a challenge?
Evans, I am not going to disclose the details of my strategy, okay, to find logistics for the party. I won't. Hello?
No, but you are campaigning.
Yes. I haven't started campaigning yet. I'm just warming up.
So this is a warm-up?
Oh, yeah, this is a warm-up. When the time comes and I file my nominations and I begin to go out there, when I meet my party, there are some conversations that are not meant for public consumption.
I mean,
so when I meet them, we talk. We have our language.
I get you, but you consider.
Why are you so preoccupied with this?
I'm not. I'm just asking questions about the things that every party person who want me to ask you a question because you want to link them tonight and watching you will want me to ask you.
Okay.
And I'll be remiss not to ask you.
Okay.
Because my NDC's greatest suit is that you're a mass party.
Yes.
Right? I can't have you here and ask you things about economy and not ask about the grassroots.
Okay.
So it's fundamental.
So I've answered your question.
Because allow me
issues of strategy. I cannot disclose.
I'm not asking you strategy. Allow me to ask the question on behalf of your grassroots.
No, they won't ask those questions.
They will ask
because you see, your very premise was false. The premise was that they are paid and they are not paid. And I'm saying that is completely false. You don't understand. For once, your research team failed you.
It is why
Evans, for once, your research team
it is why obviously free Ankara. I said that Dr. Kamala Dufo said, not me said, and he's. I'm sure his people are listening. They will come and tell you that. That's why I didn't say me, I said. I quoted him, and I quoted accurately. But let me ask you my fundamental question. So this is not about research. Research is very accurate, and that's what he said. Your core message exactly is what? As we talked about the grassroots, which is fundamental. I mean, what's your core message?
My core message is that we're going into 2024 elections. It's a crucial must-win election. We've had a general secretary for 17 years, very experienced, and therefore you need somebody who is also equally experienced, who understands the party, who has a track record of working closely with the party, who has a track record of success, who understands the pulse of the party, who has the capacity to bring everybody together and motivate them and inspire them so that we all work hard towards victory 2024. So that's the message.
Okay. So bringing people together is a key thing. And reading about you before today, I see that uniting the bases. Why is that so critical to the NDC going into 2024? The party seem, for anybody looking outside, it doesn't seem like a party that requires to be united. It seems like you guys have a very united voice. Am I seeing the picture wrong?
No. See, I do motivation, you know that. That's what I do. And there are principles in leadership. And it's called synergy. I've been at the forefront of every single election. For you to win an election, you need to get majority of the people, 95% of the people, ready and willing and hungry to die a little for the party. Okay? Now, in 2020, we're up there, very, very, very energized that we're going to win. After the elections, after the results, people became demotivated, people became depressed, demoralized. There's a way in which you must get all those people re-energized, give them hope that come 2024, we're going to cross the mark, okay? And you need somebody who can pull everybody together. Come on, let's go. Don't sit on the fence. Don't be tired, Let's go and get it. Let's go and finish what we started. So that is it.
Just by motivating them?
Motivating them in terms of structures, in terms of programs, in terms of, all the things that you need to do. Like I said, there are things that are internal party matters. When I meet my delegate, for example, I have a manifesto, okay? I have a manifesto.
Already drafted?
Yeah. Which when
You've been planning this for quite some time, to be the general secretary of the party, obviously.
Well, like I said, I was in law school. My whole journey, in this political thing, when I finished my master's, I was actually on my way to ECOWAS. I had gone to meet Chambers in Benin, gone to Abuja, presented my CV, was waiting for a call. Then Uncle Atuawe called me, said, we want you to join Prof's campaign. Then I joined, okay?
Early 2000, late 2001?
Yeah, early 2001. Then after that, campaign, deputy campaign coordinator, then 2005, then, so it's not like I've been, but with the evolution of time, I look at the circumstances and I work a lot based on conviction, okay? I am very convinced that this 2024 is a must win for us. And if the opportunity has come for me to offer myself based on my track record, my experience, my ability to work with people, all kinds of people, that's one of my biggest strengths. I'm able to work with everybody, pull everybody along, and get them on a trajectory for success and victory. Why not?
Okay. I just simply ask the question, so clearly this is part of your evolution.
Yes.
And obviously you've been planning for General Secretary for a while. It brings out the question of your good friend, General Secretary Ketia. Suggestion is he's moving out of the scene ascending to become the national chairman. Is the part of the confidence that Elvis Afriyankra has to say, well, if General Mosquito isn't there, then maybe I will never have a better opportunity to jump into this. Was that part of the consideration?
At the appropriate time, General Mosquito will speak, okay? When I started this journey, my public statement was, when the position becomes vacant, and if General Mosquito doesn't go, I'm going for it, okay? Now I'm telling you I'm going for it. Okay. I don't want to preempt anybody. At the right time, he will speak.
But you made a very important point right now that if he doesn't go, I will go. You've already written in your heart already, which means that he's not going.
You can draw your own conclusion.
No, but you just said that.
You can draw your own conclusion.
That's a confirmation that he's not going.
I'm saying that you must give respect to your seniors at the appropriate time when he officially makes the announcement. But everything will be clear.
But obviously you're certain he's not going, which is why you're gone.
Let's move on. I'm going. That's the point.
Which is a confirmation that he is
for myself. I'm going.
Yeah. Now, of course, your confidence that you're going to win is also anchored on, you said, your track record. In the last 40 minutes, you've stressed on that. Many will scrutinize you now, rightly so, because track record is important for you. When they refer you to World Cup 2014, what do you tell them? And they say that was, anybody who remembers you, Jomefe committee, you cried before the committee, will say, but if your track record is, but that track record is at least that particular time when you were the substantive minister, wasn't that great. It's almost defined that period of your, what would you tell them?
Okay, so I've answered this question so many times, and anybody who is really interested in knowing the truth would really know the truth, okay? Have you read the report?
Jomefe, of course I have
read the report. Is there anything about coconut in the report? Absolutely nothing. You understand me? So those were just, fabrications. And for me, in a way, in as much as those were very difficult days, it's become like a blessing in disguise.
How?
Because you see, when you are accused falsely, publicly, and all kinds of things are said about you, and you do not get the opportunity to defend yourself or to be investigated, it remains on you for the rest of your life. In my case, fortunately, there was an investigation, a whole commission, live telecast. There was a forensic audit by Ernst & Young. The report is public. The information is public. At the end of the day, absolutely nothing was found against me. Nothing. So we've moved on. I've moved on way past that. It's a learning period. So today, I'm an advisor to ministers, things they should avoid.
What was the biggest lesson for you?
Ensure that issues about players' money are resolved here before they take off. If those things were the fundamental issues that created all the issues. And then secondly, avoid getting yourself into issues by supporters. Because in my time, for the first time, there was no money for the supporters. And I offered to raise money from corporate Ghana, and it was very difficult, So that was it. And of course, there were other interests, but so we've moved on. The report is there. Anybody who wants to know can go and look at it. Anybody can go and look at all the various interviews. So that is past. I've moved on. I'm on a different trajectory now. And
so when your opponents, and politics is a very bitter game. When your opponents bring it up in delegates meetings, your comeback will be, you've moved on.
No, my comeback will be, so what exactly did I do wrong? Have they read the report? Have they seen the report?
But they'll ask you.
Is there anything in the report that indicts me that this government has been in power for 6 years? I've never been invited to a fire service station, let alone a police station, because there's nothing to answer. Okay? There's absolutely nothing. Let's say somebody accuses you of murder. For that period, everybody will call you name. He's a murderer, he's a murderer, he's a murderer. When you go to court, as tortuous as that process is, once the judicial process ends and you are acquitted and discharged, it doesn't matter what people have said.
Yeah.
It's over. So at that time, there were all kinds of issues and, but at the end of the day, there's a document, okay? In that document, you will not find one thing that I know. Nothing.
So as far as you stated tonight, you've banished the ghost of 2024 World Cup.
2014.
It's
not an issue.
World Cup.
It's not an issue.
I mean, in terms of leadership, though, and now you're a motivation speaker, I'm curious, though, have you always been, or something happened in the last few years that made you become so focused on the motivation side of speaking?
I've always been, but I've never had time, to get into it. So I think that, but especially when I was at the Flagstaff House, I started writing, I wrote, I have a few manuscripts, and then I decided I should be sharing my experiences. My first published book, I have quite a few, but the first published book is 7 Steps to Fulfilling Your Purpose and Mission in Life. Because I believe that I've gathered some experience, and when I started sharing it with small groups, I saw the impact. And I have so many young people who tell me that I inspire them and motivate them. So why don't I create a platform where I can inspire, if possible, more people and mentor them? So that is the motivation, and that is the passion.
Okay. So that's where this comes from. So you do full-time now? Full-time motivational speaking. I'm wondering, what else does Elvis Fiancra do now as, income-generating venture? Beyond obviously you're a politician, right? You must be doing something.
Oh yeah,
you teach.
I don't teach now, but I do consultancy.
Okay.
I help people set up businesses, networks, both local and foreign.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Okay, so that definitely is one thing that the delegates would. Going into the final elections, this is November from whatever.
And I also do political consulting as well.
Okay.
I have
so
a few clients.
I see. Within your own party or within MPP as well?
Oh, no. No, we don't have
I just needed to ask. I just needed to ask.
A few across the border, but those are.
So you're doing international political consultations?
If you say international, it sounds so highfalutin.
But if it's beyond the borders, it is.
Across the border, I have a few, clients, colleagues who believe in me, and I guide them, and so far it's been good.
Yeah. Come December, when you go to the polls, obviously you're expecting to deliver this and win. Once you do that, you are obviously looking to 2024. We've talked extensively about, your conviction that a combination of Nanado's leadership and governance and your own acumen will deliver you the victory going into it. If you're drawing back from the 2020 elections, what would you say, and this is the final, what would you say is the number one lesson, because you were the director of elections, that you're picking from 2020 to 2024 if you win?
Start early.
Okay.
All the processes start early. That's why I said there are things that I cannot say publicly.
Okay.
When I meet delegates, they know and they understand. These are internal party matters. Okay. Start early. All the processes, recruitment, training, deployment of agents and all those things, the systems, start early. That's it. Okay. And they understand what I'm talking about.
It's simple enough, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. So that's Elvis Afriyankra simplifying his message to the people, the delegates of the party. How many of them will be voting?
Oh, close to 9,000, 10,000.
So that's a small group of people.
Well, it's a representative group
of the party. Okay. Well, wish you all the best in November. We don't know who else is coming up in December. We don't know who else is going to come up against you, but we'll see. As the field enlarges, we'll get more of them onto the show and ask them the same questions that we asked him. Some of them he wasn't happy with, but he knows the game. He's a communications guy. And so when he was pretending as if the questions were unfair to him, he knows the questions.
No, but I didn't come and discuss potential candidates.
It was definitely.
Do you understand me?
I get you. All questions.
No,
all questions.
I don't think that was fair.
Elvis Afriyankra, I'm grateful.
But it's okay.
I'm grateful.
I mean,
thank you very much for joining us.
Mischievous as usual.